It's Wednesday night. It's January 5th. It's the first AEW Dynamite episode on TBS. It's also the first episode of the Kicking Out podcast for 2022. Happy New Year to all the Kicking Out podcast listeners and viewers out there. Paul, how's it going? How was your New Year's?
Been a hectic start to the new year. The job has brought a lot of new changes that I'm on board for and slowly adjusting to. But wrestling doesn't stop nonstop from start to finish. So the year's been a little rough so far to start, though. But wrestling-wise, it's been good. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, pretty crazy show tonight. A lot to talk about. Wild ending there. Injury scare for Rey Fenix. We'll just start off with that. Thoughts and prayers up to him as we'll get into it, but it looks like he probably broke his arm.
I've been saying those stunts he does off of everything is going to catch up to him, and I think tonight was the night it finally did.
And tonight wasn't really even his fault.
No.
He went through a table from Luchasaurus, but I wouldn't blame Luchasaurus either. It was just kind of one of those accidents where he's trying to brace himself with his arm, and arm looked like it went in half or backwards. So,
yeah, I don't think anybody's at fault here. It's one of those accidents happen, and that was definitely an accident. But I know how the wrestling world is, so at some point, Luchasaurus will get blamed for it, or Tony Khan will get blamed for it, or somebody's going to get blamed for this.
Well, I mean, the internet wrestling community can try all they want, but you can't. Injuries happen. It's part of the pro wrestling profession, and but like you said, the internet wrestling communities. I know I was gonna say it's more negative than positive, but actually, I think there's more positive out there. It's just the negative seems to be
outweighs it
at times.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. You can have 500 people telling you good things. You'll have 1,000 people telling you bad.
Yep. I mean, we saw incident AEW this past week with Big Swole and Tony Khan going back and forth on Twitter. I guess, what were your thoughts on that, Paul? I mean, Big Swole, pretty much, for those who don't know, she came out and pretty much said how the companies wasn't giving women fair treatment and it wasn't giving minorities fair treatment, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how I feel about this. I mean, like you said, she kind of came out and said this, but in my opinion, that's not seen. I mean, everybody always feels like they're being mistreated in any wrestling job they have. I mean, that's just how it is at some point. And I even saw a tweet from, or a message from Cody, or he talked in an interview, but I saw something that quoted Cody saying, backstage, yeah, there's a lot of back and forth bickering, but it's the most team-like atmosphere I've been in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough of what happens backstage at AEW to comment too much. I kind of see where she's coming from, but at the same time, I see a few things that Tony said in return. But one thing about Tony Khan, big fan of him. I like the guy. He seems like a very nice guy. He's definitely a fan first. He doesn't always need to respond, but he does this also when it comes to the Jaguars, when it comes to his soccer club. Sometimes it's just better not to respond, or respond a little differently than he usually does. But that's Tony being Tony, I guess. And a lot of the locker room came to his defense. But I think a lot of the roster, especially those of color and minorities, kind of felt like they were being put between a rock and a hard place, because I don't think really they knew what to do.
Right. Leo kind of had a knee-jerk reaction on Twitter calling Tony out. But then the next day or day after that, sent out a tweet saying, look, Tony and I talked. I forget who else was mentioned in his tweet, but they all talked.
PR, I believe.
Yeah. They all talked. They all agreed. They're on the same page. It's just both of them handled with a knee-jerk reaction, and sometimes, like you said, just don't respond at all.
Yeah, right. And sometimes I see a Tony Khan response to him like, just kind of makes me cringe a little bit. Like, here we go. But yeah, we'll see if anything else comes out of that
Yeah,
going forward.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
like we said tonight, kicked off the TBS era for Dynamite. Felt good to see wrestling back on the mothership on the Superstation. I grew up watching
Yeah.
WCW on WCW Thunder on TBS. Of course, I'm not old enough to remember the WCW programming before Thunder, but I do recall Thunder. So it was nice to see it back on TBS tonight.
It's okay, Tanner. We'll forgive you for not being a part of the Monday Night Wars.
Hey, I was only for a little bit. Towards the latter part of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was there for all of it. So,
yeah,
yeah, it definitely took me back to, I even sat there tonight, not even realizing that I had the remote in my hand with my thumb sitting on previous channel. Because that's what I used to do. I just used to flip back and forth. They'd go to a commercial break. I'd flip until the next commercial break and flip back. So,
yep,
but of course, we see picture in picture from AEW. That was actually a thing. You could watch two different channels back
right.
then. So there were a lot of times you had one on picture in picture and the other on the full screen, and you watched both.
Now I know I've asked you this in the past, but refresh my memory. Were you more of a WWF guy or WCW guy?
Um, During the wars, the early parts, I was more of a WCW guy. I became a WWE guy. I kind of hate to say it. I followed the bandwagon on that one. And as WWE started growing, I started moving over. Um, I got to watch Jericho wrestle on WCW, and then I got to watch him make his debut as Y2J
Right.
against The Rock. Ooh.
So by '99. See, because I know we're off topic here, but this is always I'm a pro wrestling fan, so this is
Right.
fun to talk about. So,
Absolutely.
my opinion, from studying, rewatching, and from remembering what happened, I thought the tide turned for WCW. Some want to say it was '97 Starrcade with Sting and Hogan, the whole debacle at the end. Others want to say it was '98 Starrcade with the cattle prod and ending Goldberg's undefeated streak with Nash going over. I personally think it was '99, early '99, with the finger poke of doom, and on the same night as that Shivani said that'll put butts in seats in saying that Mankind was going to become world champion on Raw. I think that started the whole downfall of WCW.
I will go a lot of ways on this, but personally for me, it was the NWO split. When we got the NWO, we got the Wolf Pack, we got the black and white, we got the red and black. That's when it went downhill for me.
Okay.
As soon as it was no longer WCW and it was NWO on TNT,
Yeah.
I lost interest.
Yeah.
I mean, I still watched as a fan, but
'98 was their biggest year rating wise. And then starting '99, they just couldn't recover. And then 2000 was even more of a train wreck. And then 2001, they're out of business. So, but anyways, tonight kicked off the TBS era of Dynamite. Now, Rampage is still going to be on TNT, as are the quarterly specials, the Battle of the Belts, which is this Saturday, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But the first ever Dynamite match on TBS was the World Heavyweight Championship match. Hangman Adam Page versus Bryan Danielson. What do you think of this match, Paul?
Just as good, if not better, than the 60-minute draw between these two. I like this one because it was a little slower paced. It didn't go the full 60 minutes, and we got both guys busted open.
Friend of the podcast, Austin Shepard, texted me, said Vince Russo killed WCW. That's also fact.
That is fact. Yeah. Good job, Austin.
Yeah, that's a very true statement. I knew this was going to start the show, even though commentary said it was going to be the TBS title, because they'd been advertising it on social media that this was going to be the kickoff tonight. So I don't know why commentary said that, and the graphic even set up next. I think it was just a production error. Keith Mitchell is now retired, so some new people back there.
Yeah, you got to give the new production team a little bit of a break here.
But they announced the three judges. It was the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, Jerry Lynn, and Paul White. I thought one of them was going to be Max Caster. I guess he was just trolling everybody on Twitter. So earlier this week, he said he was one of the judges.
It's Max Caster. Of course,
I
he
know.
was trolling
I fell
everybody.
for it.
Come on.
I fell for it. But I was even like, if Max is going to be one of the judges, who are the other two going to be? So they're going to be a baby face, a heel, and then a tweener. But nope, just three legends. So
3 amazing legends.
Yeah, this match back and forth. I mean, we saw Hangman went for a Lionheart moonsault. We saw Danielson. Danielson really had the advantage for the first half, I would say. I mean, he was being cocky, doing some jumping jacks like he did the first time around, drinking a bottle of water as Hangman looking a little winded. Hangman eventually got busted open, and when I say he got busted open, he got busted open. He was showing big time color. He had a crimson mask, but so did Danielson to follow suit in a little bit. And that was probably the most I've ever seen Bryan Danielson bleed.
Oh, I think it's exactly the most I've ever seen him bleed.
Love the storytelling in this match, though, as Bryan Danielson was working on Hangman's right arm, specifically to take away the buckshot lariat, which he got hit with the first time they matched up, but it was a little too late for Hangman that first go around. Towards the end of the match, Danielson looked over to the judges and smiled. He began hitting Page with some very vicious stomps. He went for another flying knee because he already hit one during the match, but Page countered it and hit him with a power bomb. Page walked over to Danielson, and then Danielson put Page into a leg lock. Page got out of it by kicking out. Page began punching Danielson multiple times. Hangman then went for the buckshot lariat again, and this time he hit it for the 1, 2, 3. So 53 days into his title reign, Hangman finally gets his first win as AEW champion.
Yeah. One thing that caught my attention, because there were points I was flipping Twitter, I was texting you, I was texting a few other people. At one point, I looked up before Danielson had gotten busted open, and the way Hangman's blood was, he seriously looked like he was wearing a cane mask because it just stopped right here. So, I mean, it's just all red up here and then just the white. And I'm like, oh, it's Kane. So that was kind of cool.
That was two pretty bloody guys there. But a great match.
Yeah.
I think the right guy went over. Hangman. It's not his time to lose the title yet. Loss doesn't do Danielson any harm.
No, not at all.
Can now get him in a new storyline.
So, I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah, me too. So, very fun opener to kick off the TBS era. Then we got a promo by the Acclaimed talking about Sting and said they'd be releasing a new music video next week.
Why?
I don't know.
I mean, this is true battle of the generations. Even Caster said so. He said, oh, okay, boomer, let me show you what our generation does. No, our generation should go out there and kick some butt. That's what.
The best part of it was Bowens calling Darby Nightmare Before Christmas looking ass. So last week it was Chemical Romance, My Chemical Romance. Now it's
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
What will be next week?
Yep. We then got we knew MJF was going to be in action, but we didn't know who he'd be facing. That turned out his opponent was going to be the captain, Sean Ding. The bell rang. CM Punk runs down to the ring. MJF leaves the ring. CM Punk's waiting for MJF to get back into the ring. CM Punk then hits Captain Sean Dean with the GTS. The referee calls for the bell, and Dean wins by disqualification. So MJF's record on the year 2022 is 0-1.
He got his first loss at the hands of CM Punk.
Then afterwards, these two went at it on the mic for a little while. Punk told MJF that he will continue to do this until MJF fights him. MJF then begins to assault CM Punk. MJF says things got more personal when he compared himself to Rowdy Piper, and you got mad. MJF tells Punk that Piper had talent and was talented enough to headline WrestleMania, unlike you. Punk then tells MJF if he believes the grass is greener, then go there and main event night 4 of a buy one get one extravaganza. And when he gets released, he'll be there waiting for him to kick his ass.
Yes, I loved that line. That is my favorite line out of the night. I even tweeted it to you or texted it to you just because I had to. It was perfect.
I do like MJF keeps bringing up, the 2024 contract, the bidding wars. He's bringing it into storyline. I really like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's makes you wonder, okay, in 2024, are we going to get rid of MJF? I don't think so.
Company's not letting him
Um,
go anywhere.
no, I mean, they've given him the Dynamite Diamond 3 years in a row. Do you really think they're going to let him go in 2024? No.
And he's one of the four pillars that Cody Rhodes supposedly hates. I was listening to an interview with him on Barstool Sports Wrestling podcast with Brandon Walker, and he said he hates the four pillars because he said there's a lot more than just those four talents in AEW that are getting pushed, and he said Max just kind of created that. He didn't even float it by Tony Khan at all. So
Right. And I mean, okay, I understand what Cody's saying. There's a lot of talent, which we'll get to some of that talent later on tonight in the podcast. But let's take it back. Four horsemen. That's kind of what Max is going with here. There was the four horsemen of professional wrestling. These are the four pillars of AEW.
I sure thought the Pinnacle was gonna go in that direction, even though there's five of them, and it hasn't
I
really gone that
know.
direction.
Totally even made it act, that way when he was like,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I'm like, oh, here we go.
We
Nope.
then have Chris Jericho come out to cut a promo. Jericho promotes Dynamite moving to TBS. Says the first time he's been on TBS since match against Booker T on Thunder. He said Booker T cheated to get the win. He's smiling the whole time when he's talking about it. So Booker, don't take any offense to that. Jericho
It's
says
Booker T.
I know. He's making his in-ring return. I forget what promotion it's with, but he is coming out of retirement for a match.
Okay.
Jericho says he did not go out to save Eddie Kingston. He went out to attack 2.0. 2.0 then makes their way to the ring. Jericho calls them Terrence and Phillip, South Park characters.
Yep.
He insults 2.0, calling them Squarehead and Pinhead. Jericho grabs Floyd, but Daniel Garcia enters the ring and attempts to attack Jericho. Jericho's ready for him. Jericho then gets attacked by 2.0 and Garcia. Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz come down for the save. There's going to be a six-man tag on Rampage. Eddie, Santana, and Ortiz versus 2.0 and Garcia.
And I got to say, maybe I'm a little late to the party here, but Santana's kind of added some muscle to himself here recently.
Yeah, he looks like he has.
He didn't look that buff when he was, going against the Pinnacle.
No, I agree with you there. So.
Okay. Glad it's not just me.
We then see Adam Cole cut a promo saying that he knows Kyle O'Reilly did not mean to kick him last week. Cole challenges newly signed Jake Atlas, who made his AEW debut on Dark earlier this week, challenges him to a match on Rampage. My favorite part of this whole part was Kyle telling Brandon Cutler to cut it, Landon.
Yeah, especially since Brandon Cutler wasn't there tonight.
Right. He and the Bucks are out for COVID protocol. So.
Yep.
So wish them a speedy recovery.
Yeah, but I mean, it was still the nice way, just to, even though Brandon wasn't there, like, oh, look, I can't cut a promo if Brandon's not filming it type thing. So it was a nice little reference, at least.
And O'Reilly and Fish are wearing new Red Dragon t-shirts, which you can get on shopaw.com, which 20% off promo code is good through tomorrow. AEW 2022 is the promo code, which you can also get some KOP merch at Pro Wrestling Tees by using the promo code 2022. So 20% off through tomorrow.
There you go. Go get you some KOP merch.
Yep. We then got Antonio Zambrano versus Wardlow with Sean Spears. Sean Spears attacks Zambrano while the ref is checking Wardlow's tights. Wardlow was not happy that Spears attacked him. Spears rolled Zambrano into the ring. Wardlow hit Zambrano with 5 power bombs, then pins him for the victory. Spears won the pin him after 1. That's a recurring theme we're seeing week after week. I meant to mention this when MJF and Punk were going back and forth, that Punk is going against Wardlow next week.
Yeah. That'll be a tough match to watch because I'm personally a fan of both of them. So,
yep, me too.
So, I definitely think Punk's going to hand Wardlow a loss, though.
I do too. Which his record's now with tonight's win 40-6 in AEW. So
okay, so loss ain't going to hurt him.
And usually his losses are to big time opponents. So.
Yeah.
We then get the first ever TBS Championship Finals between Jade Cargill with Smart Mark Sterling against Ruby Soho. This match went about how I thought it would go, especially when they showed a shot of Jade's daughter in attendance.
Yeah.
Um, Jade really went to work on Ruby Soho's left arm um, during the match, but Ruby just kept fighting back with one arm. So we see Smart Mark Sterling get kicked out to the back of the ring. We saw Mercedes Martinez make her way out and get in the face of Ruby Soho. That was early in the match. But Thunder Rosa ran down and began attacking Martinez. They started fighting and went off screen. Cargo had control until Mark Sterling really got kicked out. We saw Ruby hit No Future, the move No Future, and went for the pin, but Jade kicked out at 2. They're both on the ropes. Then Cargill hit Jaded on Ruby Soho from the second rope for the 1-2-3 to become the first inaugural TBS champion.
Yeah, I was rooting for the Hoosier, but I knew how this was going to go, unfortunately. Does set up for a very interesting storyline with Ruby because we'll get to it here in a little bit. This is twice now. She can't get the big victory. She could get all these victories, but she cannot get the big one. So I'm interested to see what happens with Ruby going forward.
Yep. And she's heavily featured today on Ethan Page's vlog with they went to Bucky's because she lost a bet, a competition those two had ongoing for the last few months. So go check that out if you've never watched Ethan Page's vlog, as he called it, not vlog, vlog. Go subscribe on YouTube. It's really entertaining stuff. And after you watch it, you're going to be like, man, he plays an ass and a great heel on TV, but I got to like this guy. So,
yep. Yeah, I'm still hoping he responds on Twitter. He did a shout out that he's never gotten a chance to dedicate a song on the radio. And well, I know a guy. I know a guy that can make that happen.
Well said. We then get a pre-taped backstage interview, sit-down interview. Jim Ross interviewing Serena Deeb. Deeb talks about her feud with Akira Shida and says she told Tony Khan that she demanded a match with Shida. I don't know about you, Paul, but Jim Ross is so good at these pre-taped interviews. Man. And I like hearing him back on commentary the last couple weeks, so don't get me wrong, but I think this is where he belongs, is doing these pre-taped interviews because that's his bread and butter.
Absolutely. You know, there's nothing wrong if he steps away from commentary and we get a couple pre-taped interviews a month. This way he doesn't have to do it every single week. I know he'll still be there every single week doing stuff behind the scenes, but I definitely like him doing these pre-taped interviews. Like you said, he's absolutely fantastic at it. And it doesn't matter who he's interviewing. It could be somebody who has no mic skills whatsoever. JR will make it good.
Yep. It was just a really good interview, and Serena Deeb came off as a great heel. So furthering that storyline with Shida.
Yeah.
We then get a match between Brian Pillman Jr., who's accompanied to the ring by his stablemate, Julia Hart, against Malachi Black. This match goes pretty much how you would think, pretty much kind of in the way a squash match, I guess. I mean, Pillman did get a little offense in, but it ends up with Malachi ending it with the fade to black. After the match, Malachi goes back into the ring. He walks over towards Julia Hart, who is wearing an eye patch from getting misted a few weeks ago. She's checking on Pillman. Then we see the Lucha Bros come out. Goes dark, and then Malachi's on the ramp.
And the Lucha Bros are in the ring.
Yes. So
I don't know. As I analyzed Malachi a little bit more and his tease from earlier this week where he said second of 3, I'm wondering if he's just meaning the Varsity Blondes. Because, I mean, he took out Griff. Now he took out Pillman. The only one left standing is Julia Hart. And she's, Julia Hart.
And he kind of already took her out by taking her eye out. So
yeah. But I still don't think she was the intended target with the way he was aiming. I think it just kind of blew that way. And they ran with it.
He's one of the most interesting stories in AEW because he just teases things every week. And it's hard to figure it out. And I mean, the lights going out is a tease within itself.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't the last time we saw the lights go out tonight, which.
Yeah. I don't think was intentional the last time we saw it, but
Oh, I think it was.
Oh, you do?
If you remember the night he debuted, the lights went out in the first match of the night.
Yeah.
And then they went because then they even said because when commentary brings
Mentions
it up,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, you got a good point there.
yeah, because
Good
that
point.
one was down in Miami, I believe, and
Yeah.
commentary said, "Oh, we've had some storms in the area, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
So,
Which
yeah,
they had. I looked at the radar. That was truth.
yeah. But I think because when it happened in the main event, I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be him and Pac or him and a debut and Brody King, and they're going to beat up the Lucha Bros. And the lights came back on. Nobody was there. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of another tease like, like they're setting this up for something.
The crowd even got excited when the lights went out because, I mean, a lot of times lights go out, there's no crowd reaction. There was a crowd reaction. So I appreciated that from them.
Tonight's main event was the AEW World Tag Team Championship match between the Jurassic Express with Christian Cage against the Lucha Bros with Alex Abrahantes. Fun match. Well, I mean, man, how talented are these four guys?
Absolutely. No matter what, these guys, the four of them, absolutely fantastic. I look forward to a long career for all four of them, and hopefully Phoenix can stop injuring himself.
I was gonna say Phoenix just has been bitten by the injury bug for the last year.
Not nonstop.
Tonight's probably the worst one. I just hope it wasn't as bad as it looks. But
yeah,
my favorite spot of the match was when he and Jungle Boy bounced off the ropes and did those. It wasn't a DT. It was kind of like an Irish whip.
Yeah,
and then stood up. That was just athleticism at its finest.
Perfect timing, athleticism, everything. It was just smooth. It was great.
Towards the end of the match, we saw, and we talked about this at the beginning of the show, we saw Luchasaurus choke slam Phoenix through a table. Phoenix landed horribly and more than likely broke his arm. Jungle Boy went for the kill switch. Penta attempts to counter, and by trying to counter, Jungle Boy went for the roll up and pins him 1, 2, 3. The Jurassic Express are the new AEW Tag Team Champions. After the match, we saw Jungle Boy's mom and sister crying in celebration. Then we saw multiple tag teams come out by the entrance area and watch Jurassic Express celebrate. They show Malachi Black watching from some seats. We saw Chris Jericho watching from club seats. We saw Santana and Ortiz watching from club seats. And then the show went off the air. What did you think about that ending of the show?
Well, first off, it probably took me a good 10, 15 seconds to realize that Jurassic Express had just won because I was still like bent over trying not to throw up from watching Phoenix's arm.
Yeah, the replay was awful. The replay was awful.
The replay was right on his arm the entire time. So yeah. But yeah, I think it was interesting. It's a new year. We've got new tag champs. Records are wiped clean. So nobody really is number one contender right now.
I liked the guys in the seats, even though it was kind of weird for Malachi to be up in the seats. But I liked all the guys in the seats looking up and stuff. But I wasn't sure about all the teams being together on the entrance ramp. I didn't really care for that much.
Most of them were heels, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So I kind of can see that. More of what you saw sprinkled through was baby faces. Apart from Malachi Black, which let's admit it, they tried to make him a heel. He's still a baby face because the fans love the man.
I was wrong. I thought this was the night we were going to see Christian Cage turn heel. I'm still sticking to it. It's going to happen in 2022. It's happening because we're going to get him versus Jungle Boy eventually. And maybe now he costs them their titles eventually down the road, and that's how we get to it. But it's going to happen eventually. I'm sticking to my guns. But I do think tonight it was planned all along for Jurassic Express to win the titles. But I'm not so sure if that was the planned finish or if that was a little bit of a hurried finish because of the injury spot. I'm not sure because they did need some time for all those teams to come out and do those shots. So I don't know. It's probably something we'll never really find out unless SRS has the scoop from Fightful.
Yeah, well, he might. He's probably already working on that somewhere hidden
in the biz. So
yeah, he's probably quickly typing away, making phone calls, figuring out, what's going on with Phoenix. Was it set up to be that way, or was this kind of a fly by your seat finish? Mm-hmm. So I don't think he'll officially say it though, because he's good at doing the cryptic stuff where you think you know the answer, but then it's wrong. But yeah, I think it was they were going to win, but I think the way the finish happened was a little quicker than they anticipated because Luchasaurus didn't get back into the ring. We didn't see a double team finish from Jurassic Express like we normally do. And Jungle Boy didn't lock in his submission move. I can't think of it.
Snare trap.
Thank you.
Yep.
We didn't see the normal things we see in Jurassic Express finish for a match. Maybe that's because they were winning the titles. But I think some of it was kind of improvised.
And AEW loves to do a roll-up finish.
Yeah.
But
this is the go-to.
You know, going back to Luchasaurus not re-entering the ring, I thought at first, until I saw Fenix pointing to his arm, I thought he took the brunt of it because it looked like his stomach. That was a bad crash landing through the table for his stomach. But then right when I saw Fenix point to his arm, I'm like, oh, God, he hurt himself bad. And then that replay, I'm like, yep, he broke it. And then right after the match was over, Penta went out of the ring and went to check on him.
Yep. And I'll admit it, I stream. I don't have cable television like you do, so I'm about 40 seconds behind you normally. But then in Malachi's match, my TV froze for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So I was behind. So you had texted me, Fenix broke his arm. And that replay. So I was watching for it because when he did it was the tope suicida right out of the ring. I was like, okay, nope, it wasn't there because he got right back up. So the moment I saw Alex drag over that table, I went, oh, no. But yeah, I knew it was coming because of being behind, which I hate to admit, but you know, it happens.
Well, that's part of, I mean, cutting the cord. A lot of people are in the same position as you, but I feel bad. You should have let me know. Hey,
no,
that's on me.
I like that because then I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And you'll eventually catch up to where I'm at, and you'll realize I'm behind based off of when I text you something.
Yeah,
like I text you, women's opening the show as they were getting ready to say up next. I'm like, well, guess I was wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I can live with this finish. I can live with Jurassic Express having gold. I still don't think Christian's going to turn though.
No Marco because he's still on the voice, I believe. So
he's going to win it all just for Tanner.
Hey, I would be happy for the guy. He's a talented musician.
He's going to have a multi-million-dollar contract, and he's never going to look at AEW again.
I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying it didn't feel right for Jurassic Express to win the titles without him by their side.
That is true. That is true because they did come in together, and then he disappeared, and they replaced him with Christian.
Yeah.
So at least we got somebody of normal height.
Yeah,
with Christian.
Happy for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to get gold, especially Jungle Boy. I think it's first of many titles he'll win in AEW, and Luchasaurus has been through the ringer so many years. I mean, he was in NXT and got cut, and then Lucha Underground. So good to see him finally get some gold as well.
Yeah, and I text you something this week, and I'm going to put it on the podcast because I want to see what people think. See if they think kind of the same lines I am. AEW is based a lot around those old school wrestling fundamentals. And in those old school wrestling shows, we didn't see a lot of tag teams break up. And this dawned on me because I was flipping through Facebook and I see AJ Styles takes on his former tag partner on Raw. And I'm like, what? They already broke up? I mean, as growing up watching WWE, if you weren't familiar with WCW or you didn't know a lot of the older shows, you're used to a team gets together, they break up within 6 months. AEW's done more like those old school shows where it was 5, 6, 7, 8 years that a tag team would be together, or sometimes their entire career they would be together, never break up, never go on singles runs. I think we're going to see more of that within AEW.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, we've seen the Pinnacle and Inner Circle I mean, there's still factions, but they've been going their separate ways in singles action and stuff. So, yeah, that makes sense. I could see it. I mean, I could see him staying with Luchasaurus even when Christian eventually turns heel, because it is happening, Paul, and Jungle Boy and Christian, because it's got to go full circle. Remember at Double or Nothing, Christian got in Jungle Boy's face after he eliminated him, but then he said, "Good job, kid." So it's got to come full circle.
I think they'll just have a kind of butt heads moment. They'll have one match. Whoever wins will win. Probably Jungle Boy. And Christian will go, okay, you know what? I'm okay with this. Let's go back to Jurassic Express.
Could be. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
So, Battle of the Belt. We got Rampage coming up Friday, and Battle of the Belts coming up Saturday. Rampage, we got 2.0 and Garcia versus Eddie Santana Ortiz. We got Adam Cole versus Jake Atlas. I don't remember what the other match is on Rampage. It's a women's match, I believe.
Dr. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho and Riho.
But Riho and Britt are going to get Clash of Champions.
Yep.
Oh.
They're doing it 24 hours before those two go in singles action. It was at the tail end of them announcing Rampage. They did that and then switched straight to Battle of the Belts, talking about Britt and Riho.
And then we get Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara in the rematch for the TNT Championship. Cody 2 weeks in a row now on Dynamite.
Yeah. Here's my question for you. It's Battle of the Belts. Every belt is supposed to be defended. Who's Jade taking on Saturday?
It's only 2 title matches. It's only an hour long.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. It's.
I should pay attention.
No, it's. You would think by the title of the match, every title. No, it's only two matches. It's the women's title match and then TNT title.
Okay, so who is Jade Cargill's first opponent then? Let's put it that way.
Chris Statlander, maybe.
Okay, all right.
I need to look at the rankings, because now the TBS title is going to be in the rankings.
Well, kind of, because remember the TNT doesn't focus on the rankings like the AEW title does. So if they do the same type of thing, who knows? Because they got to redo that entire list before next Wednesday, because the top 2 contenders are out.
I think come Saturday, both champions defend their title. I think Brett beats Riho, and I think Cody beats Sammy, and I think Cody's next opponent will be Scorpio Sky, I think.
Yeah. I don't think Sammy wins. I think there's too much drama and controversy around Sammy right now. And I think that's part of the reason he dropped the belt.
Well, and you don't want this belt going back and forth in 3 weeks all the time.
No.
I mean, I get people are tired of Cody being a 3-time champion, but I mean, Sammy did beat the powerhouse that was Miro, and then had 5 title defenses, so he had a pretty good little run.
Yeah. I think 10's the record held by Cody.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Rating for the match, or rating for the
I'll give it a grading. How about that? We'll give it a solid I'm gonna do 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
I'll do a 7. I was thinking 6.5, but I'll do a 7. I mean,
I brought you up.
I thought the matches were good. I mean, did have a couple squash matches in between there, a lot of promos. Jurassic Express win was fun. And injuries happen, but it was just the Phoenix injury just kind of distracted everything else after that moment for me. And that's the main thing I'm concerned about coming out tonight's his health and well-being.
Yeah. And actually that main event is exactly what changed my score, because going into it, I was at a solid 7.
Yep.
And Phoenix, actually, no, I was at a solid, it evened it out, I guess I should say, because I was at a solid 7.5. Phoenix dropped it for me. Jurassic winning brought it back up.
Gotcha. Yep.
I can't do math in my head right now.
It's late. It's late.
It's late. I've been up way too long.
Yep.
And this is only pop for the day. I'm cutting out Pop. So
hey, that's good for
you
you.
know,
I did that years ago and haven't looked back. So, because
yeah,
if you can stay with it, eventually you'll find other substitutes for sugar or caffeine or whatever it is that you need. So,
yeah. I switched to black coffee,
oh, there you go.
which it's there today. It helped out a lot because it's freezing cold outside
It
here in
was
Indiana.
chilly. That's an understatement. Wrestler of the night for you.
Oh man. You know what? I'm gonna go Phoenix just because he puts his body on the line every single time. Thoughts are with him as he recuperates during this. We're gonna lose Lucha Bros again as they were building steam again, even with the Jurassic Express picking up the belts tonight. I think there was a few other good storylines.
Sure.
Malachi versus or them Malachi Black and a partner of his choosing. Death Triangle taking on the House of Black. I think all that was being set up, and now it's kind of getting pushed back again.
Yeah, if Brody King's coming into the company, though, they're going to have to pivot and get him into a storyline because I don't think they can wait too much longer for that.
No, and I think the lights going out, it was setting up the House of Black. We'll just call them the House of Black versus the Lucha Bros.
I think you're right.
Now we've been swerved. What do we do?
Well, if Pac isn't in the House of Black, you have to bring him back and pair him with Penta. But if he is in the House of Black, I don't know. I don't know what you do. Malachi's too hot right now to take him off TV for an extended period of time.
Oh, I think you could probably take him off for a month or two and he'd be fine. I don't think he wants to be off for a month or two. I think it'd probably scare him from where he just came from. Sure. But yeah, I think they'll come up with something pretty quick, even if it's just Malachi in a bunch of squash matches. I'm still okay with that.
Austin Shepard says Briscoe's jumping the AAA title picture since the Lucha Bros are out.
Ooh,
because you compare them against FTR. FTR's got the AAA titles.
Yeah,
that's how you can get the Briscoes involved too, because I think they're coming soon. I keep saying that, but I mean, a lot of the Ring of Honor, a lot of the Ring of Honor talent are officially free agents now since the 2021's over. There are some that still have contracts through March, but not too many. That brings me to my. I got a few questions for you here. Okay. Tony Khan was in an interview with somebody on iHeartRadio, and the guy pretty much asked him if there's a dream signing out there, if his dream signing's in North America. And Tony Khan said, yeah, his dream signing is a wrestler in North America and that they're coming soon. Any speculation on that? Because last time he did this, it was Christian Cage.
I know. It was a dream signing of Christian Cage. It was the dream signing of CM Punk. It was the dream signing of Bryan Danielson. It was the dream signing of Adam Cole. I'm getting tired of hearing dream signing. As long as it's not Ric Flair or, oh God, now I can't even think of his name.
Well, the only reason
Alberto Del Rio.
If that
as long as it's not those two, I'm fine.
Especially Alberto, if that happened, it'd
be
hard for me to defend
Yeah.
Tony on a lot of things. Ric Flair, the only thing that worries me there, I didn't even think it was a possibility until Andrade in an interview lately kind of hinted something about Flair. So I don't know. But outside those, I just don't know who would be a dream signing. Would Gargano be in that category of a dream signing? Would Keith Lee be in that category of a dream signing? How about Wyndham Rotunda, a.k.a. Bray Wyatt?
Mm-hmm.
Since he said they're coming, could it be a tag team? I don't know.
Maybe it's the Briscoes.
Could be. Could it be Killer Cross, EC3, and Adam Scherr? I don't know. I don't know.
I hope it's not Adam. But that's for a whole nother set of reasons we won't get into tonight because we tried to keep this under an hour here.
I see Adam is teaming with Redbeard, which was formerly Eric Rowan, against Bully Ray and Enzo Amore at some event coming up soon.
God, I just can't picture Bully Ray and Enzo Amore on a tag team.
I know.
They're so opposite of each other.
I know.
But that shows the talent that Bully Ray is. He'll take anybody under his wing and make it look good.
So, yeah, Tony's teasing more signings. So,
I'm just
getting bigger and bigger.
I'm just gonna say it. I know it's dead wrong. It's never gonna happen. Marty Skrull.
Yeah, it's dead wrong. It's never going to happen.
I,
But
I know, I know, but he's in the Mexico area, so he's still technically in North America,
that's true.
just barely, but he's still in North
I
America.
think that would get more backlash than the Flair. Maybe not as much
Unfortunately,
as Alberto, but
no.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know who he's talking. I mean, because unless I don't know about Sami Zayn's contract. I have no idea there. But it's not Kevin Owens. It's no big talent, I don't think, for WWE. I can't think of anybody's contract coming up. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
William Regal.
Well, he is available now as of today. So is the Road Dogg.
Yeah, I know. That's why I threw his name out
Which,
there.
honest to God, William Regal would be a great addition for be a coach and trainer.
God, yes, he would be.
Yeah, that's stupid that they let him go.
Yes. So I just realized you never gave your wrestler of the night.
I didn't. You're right. I'm just talking all over the place. You could go with Hangman. You could go with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, but I'm going with Jade Cargill, the first ever TBS champion. She's 23-0. According to TK, there hasn't been a streak like this in wrestling since Goldberg. Now I wouldn't go that far, but that's what he said.
Right.
It's gonna be a big year for her.
Well, see, here's the difference between Jade and Goldberg. She can do more than 3 moves.
And her 23-0 is a legit 23-0. Goldberg would be like 98-0, and then a week later it'd be like 114.
Yeah.
It's like
nobody kept count. They just
exactly. He wasn't wrestling that many house shows either.
No, there was like one house show a week, maybe 2 if you were lucky. So he could have gone from 98 to 100, but that was as high up as he was going.
The other thing, TK broke some news on Barstool's Wrestling today that Beach Break is taking place in Cleveland.
In January.
Yeah.
Cleveland in January. You're not wearing a bikini.
He's like, there are beaches over there by Lake Erie. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Lake Erie, I've been to Cleveland once for a Broncos-Browns game, and the stadium's right by Lake Erie, and the wind was whipping that day. It was in October, and it was one of the coldest walks of my life.
Yeah. Cleveland's just frozen right now. So, especially January 26th, it'll be frozen. I'm a Cleveland fan, and I'm going to tell you, it's frozen, Tony.
I don't understand. I mean, I guess you have to do Beach Break at some point, but I don't really understand the placement.
Oh, bringing warmth to the cold time of year.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to come up with something here. I don't know. Yeah.
He did also say Double or Nothing is going back to Vegas this year, which we all assumed.
Good.
And he said they're finally getting on the West Coast around Double or Nothing time. They'll have their first Dynamite on the West Coast.
Good to hear.
Which is exciting because the Dynamite is back in the 8:00 p.m. Pacific time slot. So it's just beginning right as we're talking right now on the Pacific Coast. So it's not live anymore, which I think really impacted the ratings when it was live at 5 up there.
Yes, it did. So we'll see what happens though.
Yeah, we've had a lot to talk about tonight. A lot to discuss. I mean, it's a big week for AEW. I mean, we had Dynamite tonight, Rampage coming up Friday, and then the Battle of the Belts on Saturday.
Yep. Lots to go over next week too. We might have to cut down how much we cover on Dynamite so we can get in Rampage and Battle of the Belts.
Yep.
Well, maybe not with Battle of the Belts because I forgot it was only 2 matches.
Yeah. I mean, there might be some other things, but it's two matches out. At least you got to think 20 minutes each, at least from the Bojangles Coliseum in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So, I can't think of really anything else. I'm sure there's other stuff I could
that we'll think of as soon as we hit end broadcast.
I wanted to make sure to give you wanted to talk about a referee in the wrestling organization that you're a part of. So
and he wasn't just only part of Functified Wrestling Federation. Ref Randy was a part of several different indie wrestling organizations throughout northern Indiana. He was from Goshen. Great guy, fan favorite. Everybody absolutely loved him. He unfortunately passed away Monday unexpectedly, 61 years old. It's crazy to think he was born in March of 1960. So he still had plenty of time left in front of him. He took good care of himself. He was a delight to be around. When I walked backstage for the first time, he no hesitation welcomed me with open arms, talked to me as if I'd been part of the company for 50 years. And he was just the first one to tell you hi, the first one to tell you bye. He would interact with the fans. He loved the fans. That's why he did it. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Ref Randy's family as they're dealing with this. And hang in there, you guys. You'll get through this. And Ref Randy, take it easy and make sure nobody's cheating up there in the big ring in the sky.
Yeah, well said, Paul. Well said. I
Thank you.
didn't know him, but he sounded like a good guy from everything you just described. So, thoughts and prayers to his family and friends for sure.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to plug or talk about before we wrap this up?
FWF's coming to Columbia City this Saturday. Going to be out at the fairgrounds. Doors open 6 o'clock, bell time 7 o'clock. You still got time to get tickets if you reach out to me before Friday afternoon. We can get together, get you some tickets, and get you second row for the show. It's going to be a good show. It's a packed show, as always. Blast Off is our event name for Saturday. So, yeah, it'll be a good time. Lots of action. Going to be a triple threat match for the Cruiserweight title. So I'm looking forward to that one.
The other two guys in the match, do they have managers?
No, they do not.
Scott already has an advantage.
Scott already has an advantage in this triple threat match, as it will be Scott Alexander, Damian Easterday, the current Cruiserweight champion, and Balder.
Didn't Scott just have that belt?
He did. We're not going to get into any of that.
Short ring.
Damian cheated.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so yeah, lots of wrestling still coming up. If you're a wrestling fan, it doesn't have to be just AEW or just WWE.
No,
you can be a fan of all wrestling.
Gotta support independence.
Exactly. Lots of local talent has been featured on AEW and will be again in the future. So
Sure.
All those squash match guys, believe it or not, are on the indie circuit right now.
Yep.
So looking forward to that. And I guess, Tanner, if you don't have anything else, that's going to do it for this episode of the Kicking Out podcast. If you're still listening, drop some T's in the chats for Tanner, some P's for Paul, and join us again next week as we kick out another podcast. Be sure to listen wherever you get your podcasts each and every week. And if that happens to be Apple Podcasts, be sure to give us a like and a review. That helps us out a lot, and we greatly appreciate that. Don't forget ProWrestlingTees.com. You've got till midnight on the 6th to use promo code 2022 to score 20% off all KOP merchandise. So follow us on all social media at Kicking Out Pod. Follow Tanner Lee at Tanner Lee 92 and myself at Paul Zartman 921. And join us again next week as we kick out yet another podcast.